My birth mom, she gave me up for adoption. I was given these opportunities to have an amazing life. Witnessing these families making the most of what little they had, it felt like I had to do something because all these people, they're human like me. They're from the same country as me. A home is supposed to be a place where they can feel safe. It felt like I owed that to many of these amazing families.
Ha cambiado bastante la vida. Y ahorita, gracias a Dios, ya duerme uno más contenta y está uno ya.
Él lo está haciendo mucho por la gente. Bien, Ronaldo, muchas gracias por todo lo que nos ha hecho con nosotros.
Even though it seems like it's a massive task, there's so many people willing to help make this dream a reality. If you just go for it and do it anyway, like Mother Teresa said, amazing things can happen, blessings can come from it.
This is Food for the Poor, but we're not just food.
We go beyond the plate to discuss a full range of development programs, all designed to break the cycle of poverty.
By empowering people with the tools and training they need to transform their lives for generations to come.
These stories will inspire you, and best of all, you can be part of the change that takes place.
Join us as we go beyond the plate.
James, let's start at the beginning. Welcome to Beyond the Plate.
Hi. So it all started when my mom walked into the bathroom and I was just playing in the sink, overflowing the water, not taking into consideration that the water bill might go up from that, but it's all right. She walked in and it was like everywhere on the floor, the water, I was just making a mess. And she told me not to waste the water. And I asked why, and she shared that in many places, people do not have access to water. And I asked, why can't we just give them water? And so after that, we had a speaker from Food for the Poor talk at our church around that time, talking about the water needs of people in places like Guatemala. And so it kind of all started off from there. For some of my first birthdays, instead of collecting presents, I asked for coins, and we would just have a big jar, and we would cheer when it overflowed with coins because they would just bring in tons and tons of coins. And we purchased a water pump, we purchased chickens, piglets, goats, and fruit trees, and we had kept doing that until about COVID, when it wasn't cool to have birthday parties anymore, even though they said they wanted to, but it's all right.
But to raise all that money real quick, that's a lot of friends and a lot of coins and a lot of birthdays. So let's just put that in perspective.
All right, so I'm looking at a photo that was sent to us, right? And this is a picture of you in our lobby, and you were, I guess you were about 10 years old, right? You're 19 now, so it's 9 years ago, and you were in front of the Jesus the Beggar statue here at our headquarters, right in our lobby. I can see it from where we're sitting here in our studio. What did that statue mean to you as a 10-year-old and having these object lessons from your parents and doing this beginning stages of fundraising before you took that very first trip to Guatemala?
When we came to the Food for the Poor headquarters, when we came right into the doors, they stopped us right there. And this was one of the first things that we were able to see. And one of the first things that was very impactful during my mission trip the first time in 2016. When they explained that it was the face of Jesus, it's a statue, and it's a very popular statue because it looks like it's a beggar from far away if you don't look at the face. But when you do, it's the face of Jesus. And I think that it's just a very powerful, message, even though it's a statue. But it shows that no matter like who the person is, no matter like what they look like, what opportunities they have, what opportunities they don't have, we should look at each other as if it was Jesus, because that's what we all deserve. And so this really kind of started to hit me home right away, just knowing that we're going on this mission trip, and that all these people, they're human like me. They're from the same country as me, And I was given these opportunities to have an amazing life in Wisconsin, and that I should make the most of this trip.
And again, you're 10 years old, so let's do it again. You're boarding a plane to Guatemala at a young age, and you had spoken to us earlier about that, and you called it a brand new world. Of course, to you, it's something a little different from Wisconsin. And what did that world look like through your eyes? You know, the homes, the children, the smells.
Yeah, coming right into the airport, one visible, very big different thing is seeing a lot of people of like the same skin tone as myself. And just coming from rural Wisconsin, there is diversity, but there's not a whole lot. And so that was just an amazing thing to see.
These are your grassroots. This is where you were born. So did you start speaking to everybody right away as soon as you landed?
No, I am not very good at Spanish, but
okay.
I just smiled and waved.
The universal language, right? You just smile and you get a smile back. You don't need to speak. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And now let's just give a little bit of a context, and why Guatemala was first of all so important on this mission for you and your efforts to build homes. First of all, stats on Guatemala, and Food for the Poor has built in 2025 alone just over 20 homes, and we're only about 75% of the year, right? Total homes built lifetime for this organization in Guatemala, just under 4,000 homes built. And we're talking about an average family size of 5 per home. That's more than 18,000 people in solid, permanent dwellings. Safe, secure, permanent dwellings. Guatemala is green, lush farmland. It's beautiful, but that beauty and that countryside, very deceiving, very punishing poverty. More than 60% of these communities, and probably some areas a little higher than that, abject poverty. And I remember one particular family, this woman lives on the edge. Katerina and her 2 children living just a few yards, not yards, but just a few minutes away from a local garbage dump. She had found a little spot on the edge of this cliff. I'm not kidding. On the edge of this cliff. And she found this thatch, this hut she made with rotten wood, rusted metal. She had a basket where things that she had collected from the garbage dump, and she lived on the edge of this cliff. It was dangerous. And I'm thinking, these are 2 elementary age children living on this edge of a cliff. Unsafe conditions, families getting water from polluted lakes, children, when you hear them cough, when you go into these homes, because it gets very cold in Guatemala, you know that it's an indicator of something even more serious, and why it's so important to do this and do this urgently. So my question, James, is when you were there and saw these homes, what did you feel was the need for change? I mean, what was happening on the inside of you when you begin to see these homes and the conditions that these families were living in?
Yeah, just witnessing these families making the most of what little they had. There was holes in the roof, and I'm sure when it rained, it probably leaked through. They had nets up, covering their beds just to keep the bugs away. And especially in Guatemala, they're a lot worse than here. But it was just very eye-opening, and it felt like I had to do something, because these families they have so many children. No family should have to sleep with floors that have mud in it, or sleep with roofs that can leak through. It's just they should have a home is supposed to be a place where they can feel safe, where they can feel secured. And I think that's what, at the time, it felt like I owed that to many of these amazing families.
And that's something you saw on one of your first trips, right? Is that that moment that you turn to mom or you turn to the team and go, we need to do more? Give our audience some perspective on this. The number is staggering. I said it earlier in the episode here. As a teenager, you brought in $100,000 to build homes in Guatemala. And I think everyone's first question is, how?
Yeah.
How did you do that? Is this a major lemonade stand? Did you have different lemonade stands around your neighborhood?
That's a lot of drinks.
I mean, walk us through this, because is this something that you had to hit up your classmates at school on a constant, or you were just swinging by Rice Lake Country Club one time and said, I'm just going to knock on this door? Please talk about that engine.
So there's been so many outputs for fundraising. So after coming back from the mission trip, my aunt, she's a radio hostess, and the one morning she was supposed to meet with somebody, and he had actually canceled on her, and she needed somebody to fill in for her morning talk show, and she asked me to fill in and share my story that morning. And so that was just one of the many ways that I was able to get the story out. Another one is my grandpa sings in a barbershop quartet in Wisconsin. Wow. And one of his close friends, who also does barbershop, he makes Chinese cuisine, and he also is the author of books. And he wanted to cook a meal for me and my family and share part of my story in a part of his book that he was writing. And it was just an honor to get to meet him. Other ways were at my school. This was one of the most meaningful ones. For Catholic Schools Week, what they do is the 8th grade class always picks a service project, a community service project, and normally it's for the food cupboard in town, or it's for getting supplies to different things. But my class decided to choose this project. I presented to the elementary and middle school, and the prize of reaching the goal was getting to duct tape our principal to the wall. That was a very memorable
you must love your principal.
Way to fundraise. And
it was fundraised quickly.
Yeah, it did. And we met our goal. One of the homes was dedicated to the St. Joseph School. It was just amazing.
How long did that take? Was that a whole school year, over a couple months before winter break?
It had to have been a month.
Wow, that's fast.
It was just such a blessing. Some of the fundraising was also, I would present to high schools, private high school, private middle school, and then the middle school and high school of public schools, and just share my story there. And I would also present to church groups after Mass, or I would, we had a chili dinner one time, and we had fundraising through baked goods. I also remember during the winter, I snow shoveled for a person in one of our Bible groups, and I put that towards the fundraising thing, and it was just incredible. Just there's so many people willing to help make this dream a reality. I also shared my story with my local 4-H club, with the Knights of Columbus in Wisconsin, in Rice Lake, and the Rice Lake Rotary Club that also funded many of the homes too. I also more recently so I presented to a group after these bikers decided to bike a very long distance. This was one of the stops that they did because it was for adoption awareness, and me being adopted, it's named Father Mullen's Adoption Initiative. He thought that it'd be great for me to share my story. He's also one of the priests at my home parish in Wisconsin. And so it's just to advocate for adoption, and I shared my story there as well. But there's just been so much message through word of mouth, through emails, through text, through so much. It's been able to fundraise.
You mentioned about COVID earlier, and COVID hits, everything stops. I mean, nobody can leave their house without, having to be careful. And fundraising is a little harder like that. You mentioned, everything you mentioned right now is person to person, being somewhere in front of a crowd and stuff. So then COVID hits, and then what? It's a one Zoom call every hour? How would you do it?
So when COVID hit, it was already a busy time because that was when I was transitioning from 8th grade to high school. So moving steps in education along with continuing this project and then another project, it was very hard to keep moving forward at that time. And I remember it was just the communication made it really hard, especially because the emailing back and forth, especially with the people in Guatemala trying to get updates. It took so long. It took a lot of time. And so that was a big struggle. It was just communication, being unable to advocate and share the story in person was very hard because it was like a halt on everything. And like it was just behind screens and just like it wasn't like we weren't talking in person. It was just a lot of online messaging, and it took a lot of time.
James is giving us a master class on fundraising. I want everyone in our audience to realize and understand there is something for everyone to do in order to achieve your goal. Right. Because I want to ask you about how your faith guided you in this whole journey. All these open doors has to really renew your faith. How did your faith see this and guide you in this process?
A lot of this process with my faith, it was just kind of entrusting everything to God, and just knowing that He has a plan for all of this, and all these these opportunities, all these chances that could never happen on our own. They had to be the work through they had to have been guided through the hands of Jesus. And it's just once you really entrust everything and know that this is going to be for the greater glory for you, and it's going to help others, it's just almost an assurance knowing that it's in good hands, not human hands, but in the divine power.
I want to shift gears here for a moment because we've kind of touched on it here and there. Guatemala, adoption, not your first time in Guatemala at 10 years old. Okay. So tell us why Guatemala and why this mission in Guatemala was so important to you.
I'm going to tell you a story that my mom would always tell me before putting me to bed. So a long time ago, a mother, she loved her son very, very much. And she named him Baby Ronaldo. And she wanted him to have a better opportunity, and she wanted him to learn how to read. And so she gave him up for adoption. And so his name is James Ronaldo Meyer, and he will bring God glory. So this story, my birth mom, she gave me up for adoption in hopes that I would learn how to read and have a mother who would read to me, because at the time she could not provide some of these things. And so just knowing that she gave me this opportunity, because giving up a child for adoption is a hard thing. And just knowing that she gave me so much by making one choice that led to all of this is just giving back to a country that has given me so much, because I've learned so much about myself. I've been able to meet so many amazing people, and I feel like it's what I owe back.
James, this is a lot. I mean, just tracking back the story of your mom, I'm thinking about, I'm a parent myself of two, and I have to give up my kids. So, and the certainty of them having a future, the ones like of yours, I mean, that's a gamble on its own. And the rewards now are amazing. And I'm thinking about the the pressure. Like at one point, did you say, man, I can't do this anymore? That 3 homes is enough. I have to do this again for a 4th one, or I don't have enough for the 4th one. I think I should just stop now and help out those 3. Were you ever thinking of, am I letting my mom down? Am I letting my family in Wisconsin down? And I mean, did you ever want to give up in any of this process?
Well, I was a very shy child growing up. And so when I started giving these presentations, sometimes just the anxiety would get to me and I would break down in tears. Sometimes it felt like, I can't do this. I shouldn't be the one giving this speech. I'm not worthy of, advocating this. And I think it was just kind of entrusting all those thoughts, all the opinions that weren't coming from me, just to give them up to God and just trusting Him. You know what, I'm going to do this. And however it turns out, it's going to turn out. And I always had my family there too to help me
there you go.
throughout the later times. And just knowing that there's so many people that need to hear this story, because sometimes people just need to have that extra lift in their life.
That's right. That's right. Well, James, we heard a little bit of transformation in there, and the dream that started when you were young and then started transforming when you were 10, and now you're a grown man in college, and your story is now part of Food for the Poor's celebration of National Hispanic Heritage Month. I mean, our theme this year is actually to honor, to inspire together, juntos.
This is an amazing opportunity. It's getting this story out to more people than how I could before. And I'm hoping that it inspires others. You know, who knows, maybe there's another adopted kid out there, or there's somebody out there that feels called to do something by hearing this, because even though it seems like it's a hard, massive task, if you just go for it and do it anyway, like Mother Teresa said, to do it anyway, amazing things can happen, blessings can come from it. And this has just been such a blessing.
So we fast forward, James, and you go back in 2023 to Guatemala. Now it's like a little bit larger group. It's family members on this journey with you. And what were your impressions of the communities and the families that you met while you were there, especially some of the older folks that you'd met, the ones who were, really couldn't care for themselves, like the blind woman that you met while you were there?
All the families there, they're there for each other. I remember they were telling us that it's a very close-knit community, because if somebody needs something, the other people will help provide something, because even though they don't have a lot, they're so close. They care about each other and their families. Just witnessing the love they have for each other, for others, for kids that aren't their own, it's very much, it's something you don't really see a lot. And I would not expect to see it in a place like Guatemala, but I did. And it's just incredible. When we went back in 2023, we were visiting the homes, and I met, she was an elderly lady, and she was married to her husband, who had passed between the time she and her husband had received the house before. And our translator, Monica, she had just been telling us how grateful she was for this home, because the elderly lady, she had gone blind. And even though she couldn't see us, the words spoke everything, and she was just telling how grateful she was. And just being able to hear that, and just hearing how much these homes have on these families in these communities, it tugs at your heart.
James, Fidelia is that blind woman that that touched your heart, and she sent us a very special message for you.
La casa que teníamos era de adobe. Habían veces que todos se mojaban, nos quedaban así todo. La cocina también se terminó. Tuvimos un cambio bueno, gracias al Señor, que Dios permitió, ¿verdad?, que esa casita nos la donaran. Dios todo lo hace, ¿verdad?, con su poder santísimo. Él está haciendo mucho por la gente. Y Ronaldo, cuánto gusto tengo de platicar con usted. Muchas gracias por todo lo que nos ha hecho con nosotros. Tengo mucho que agradecerle a Dios y a usted también. Y pido a Dios que Dios lo bendiga donde quiera que ande, donde quiera que esté.
James, how does it make you feel seeing Fidelia again?
That was just very... I'm out of words to say anything. That meant so much to me.
We are approaching our 14th home in your efforts. 13 homes have been built. We're just so close to reaching our 14th home. And there was one home in Palencia, Guatemala, that was in loving memory of Diane K. Meyer. Tell us about Diane K. Meyer.
Diane Meyer, she's my grandmother, and she loved hearing about this project, and this project meant so much to her as well. And when she had passed away, in March, for her funeral during that year, she asked, instead of a lei of flowers, she asked for funds to be put towards this project. And one of the homes was dedicated in her honor. And when we went back in March of 2023, which was just around the same time that she had passed away, but years before, my grandpa was along with us, and we got to see the home that was in memory of her. And it felt like she was like right there saying, like, it just felt like she was right there with us. And it meant a lot to my grandfather too.
She's watching over that home as well. That family that's there, and she knows that she's there to provide smiles where there was once despair, and hope was very far. And it's because of you, James, and your efforts. And now we invite you, the audience, to celebrate and honor National Hispanic Heritage, even if it's different from your own, by joining James. And let's close on that 14th home, okay? Yeah. Now, this is not our limit, and it's not our goal, but it's the next goal. Yeah. Right. For that 14th home. We need your help to do it. So simply go to foodforthepoor.org/together. That's foodforthepoor.org/together, and just click the link in the bio. And James, before we go, we have one final message for you, and one that if it wasn't for your efforts, life would be a lot different.
Ha cambiado bastante la vida. Va usted como le digo, que era de madera, uno estaba con pena que se le iba a caer a uno, más los arcones ya de viejitos, de podridos, va, y el otro día va y uno hacía su comida, y yo pensé, cuando no iba a ver no había nada, porque estaban los animales a comer. Porque uno se siente ya más bien. Y ahorita, gracias a Dios, ya duerme uno más contento, ahí está uno ya. Más ni que se moje uno, va usted, porque antes se mojaba uno. Que Dios lo guarde y que Dios lo ayude, va, y que Dios siempre esté con él a su lado, y que Dios siga tocando su corazón. Le mando un abrazo, aunque sea solo con las palabras, va. Un abrazo fuerte para él, que Dios lo bendiga.
That's a rib-crushing hug that she wants to give you, James.
Look at the smile on Fernanda's face, right?
It's a smile. It's contagious, and that's what you're doing, James. And with the last words, James, tell our audience why this mission and these families matter so much.
We are all children of God, and we all are in one family. And as brothers and sisters, we owe it to not only others but ourselves to help lift others up. And it's just been amazing just seeing the blessings and miracles that have come from this.
Thanks for listening.
We hope you felt the connection.
One plate, one story, one act of love
can change everything. Discover more stories and join our community at foodforthepoor.org/podcast, and follow us too at beyondtheplate.podcast. Together, we can make a difference.
This is Beyond the Plate.
Picture this. You're crafting an amazing beer, but stepping into the non-alcoholic market feels impossible. Too expensive, too risky. Sound familiar?
That's where Brews comes in. They're your mobile partner for advanced de-alcoholization and pasteurization. No major investment, no hassle, just results.
Their mobile tech lets you create non-alcoholic beer without losing that great flavor your fans love. Same great beer, a whole new market.
And here's the kicker. They recover the alcohol byproduct, which you can use to create seltzers, cocktails, and more products. More opportunities, more revenue.
Based in North Carolina, Brews partners with craft breweries of all sizes. Whether you're brewing 2,500 barrels or 200,000, they bring the technology to you.
You want to test the waters? They even offer small batch trials to see if it's right for you. No upfront cost, zero risk.
So why wait? Don't put the non-alcoholic market and seltzers on hold. Brews can help you grow without breaking the bank.
Cheers to that. BearBrews.com. That's BARE. Brews.com.